can't tell you the number of times that this question has been asked, but throughout history, I'm sure that it's been trillions. And there's still no clear answer until today. Moms, since the history of people, have been asking themselves, what does it mean to be a good mom? Am I a good mom? And I'm going to tell you what I think based on what I have found in the research. And by research, I mean check in public forums like parent groups and Reddit and Quora. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a self test to help you decide once and for all where you stand. Moms spend way too much time wondering if they're doing enough, and that kind of doubt will wear you down and add to your sense of emotional exhaustion. When you don't see your own wins, it's hard to see the value in everything that you do. And when you're handling work, family, and everything that comes with everyday life, knowing the answer to this one question will give you a measuring stick so that you can see where you are and whether you're being a successful mom in the way you think a successful mom should look. It's time for us to stop second guessing ourselves and feel confident as moms. And for all the ladies who are scared to have kids because you don't know if you'll be a good mom, think of this as a sort of rubric. I am an educator, and in education, we give rubrics before we give an assignment so that you can see what the criteria are and know exactly how you're going to be graded. We give you rubrics so that you can decide for yourself how much effort you're going to put in to get the highest possible mark. In this episode, I am going to tell you what it means to be a good mom based on my research. I have another episode where I talk about what it means to be a good mom based on Proverbs 31 and, rooted in the Bible. And I'll link to that in the description. I'm going to share a self-test so you can decide where you fall in line with the answers that I found. And I'm going to give you some things to think about to help you deal with your self-doubt. If yelling doesn't feel right to you, if hitting makes you feel out of control and guilty, and you don't want to be like your parents in a bad way, I get it. And if you want to raise good kids and you're doing the very best that you can do without a manual, and all you want is just a little bit of support, I get that too. And that's why I created this podcast. I keep God at the center of everything that I do, to include becoming a better mom. But I'm not here to preach to you. It's my prayer that I'm given the wisdom, the words, and the compassion to help you make it through one challenging moment to the next. Welcome to Mom's Emotional Toolbox. I'm Tunisha, the VBS Life Coach. Let's get into it. Being a good mom is not just about the big obvious things that we do. It's these quiet little powerful things that we do that nobody really thinks about that build a strong family. So I'm going to give you a list of things that I found on public forums and in parenting groups that are not something you probably even realized that good moms do. The first one is being able to read the room. You can look at your kids, look at your family, and know something is about to pop off. And you need to change the energy in the room before stuff gets out of control. So when you notice that your teenager is more quiet than usual after you pick them up from school, and so then you ask them, is something wrong? What's bothering you? When you see that at dinner time, your kids are about to start arguing, you know how to change the subject to something funny so that everybody's in a better mood. When you see that your partner is stressed out in the morning and you just go over there and give a quick little hug and say, you know what, I love you. Let me help you with something that you have to do this morning. The next one that you're doing that you probably don't realize is just anticipating what your family needs. You see those unspoken little cues that your kids or your partner needs help for whatever reason before a problem pops up. You see that your kid forgot their lunchbox or their water bottle, and so you just grab it and hand it to them before they walk out the door. Or you drop their device off at school because they forgot it. When you see that your partner's having a tough day and you just give them some space because you know that that's something that they need before they can talk to you and engage with you. When you see that your toddler is about to have a full-blown meltdown and you go love on them and try to calm them down before the tantrum starts because you know they don't have the language to say that they're really frustrated right now. The next one is creating a sense of belonging in your house. You build your family traditions, and not just around the holidays, but these things that you do. You have a weekly movie night with your kids, cuddle time, reading time. You are the one that everybody goes to for the family gatherings, right? Like I had an aunt before she passed away. Her house was the hangout house. That's where everybody went. So you have those things that you do that create belonging for your family, both your immediate family, but even your extended family. Maybe you have some sort of family self-care ritual where you run your kids a bubble bath on a Sunday and give them the face mask and paint their nails and do all the things. The next one is really important to me because it's one that is a strength for me, and it's advocacy for your child. So sometimes it's quiet advocacy. You see that your aunt or your sister or somebody is saying or treating your kids in a way that you know you need to support them and defend them because they don't know how to deal with that particular family member in the way that they feel comfortable dealing with you. Every time you send the teacher that email because you notice that your child is coming home really frustrated and upset and saying that they hate going to school, that's you being an advocate for them. When you know that somebody is bullying your child and you want to talk to their parent to see if y'all can work this situation out, or the staff member who's involved to get a better understanding of what's going on and why it's being allowed, that's all advocacy. When you're talking to the coach and saying, hey, listen, I get that you want to be tough on the kids, but I need you to not talk to my kid that way. Then we get to your ability to balance your boundaries, because you know the boundaries are required, but it's not something that has to be this strict, rigid way of being. So on the weekend, you might let your kid watch a little more TV than you would during the weekday. You might have a curfew for your older kids, but for a special event or something where you know that, hey, they might want to linger a little bit, you might give them a little longer that particular night. You might say, listen, you can't take on any more activities right now because we are already pressed for time, money, and just energy. We can't do it. Then we have you letting your kids be independent and creating an environment where they can do things for themselves. You let them solve their own problems, even if it means that they have to learn from little mistakes, and you pull back and let life be their teacher. It's when you encourage your kids to make sure they have everything in that bag and in that folder before the morning time comes. It's letting your teenager create their own study schedule and asking them what's on their plate today instead of you telling them what their schedule will be and that they need to sit in front of you and get the work done. Now, that's not to say that sometimes that's not necessary, but you know when it is and when it's not. You know when to jump in and help your little one with cleaning up because they made a big mess and they are just still learning. They're too small and they need some help. And you don't yell and fuss at them about it. You just teach them how to use the paper towels to wipe up the mess, how to get a mop, or whatever the case may be. You model self-forgiveness for your kids and show them that messing up is a part of life. It's not the end of life, and it's okay. You admit that when something slipped your mind, you forgot an appointment, you're running late, that you could have planned a little bit better, or you could have set a reminder for yourself, but you don't beat yourself up because you're showing your kids that we all make mistakes, but we don't have to start using that self-deprecating language of, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. How could I do this? Because what we model for them is what they end up doing. We become their inner voice. You handle all of the family organization, and people don't even realize all of the things that you keep straight in your head with what's going on with the school events, what appointments are coming up, what needs to happen for the church, who needs to bring what where. You keep track of any deadlines to make sure that papers get turned in on time, field trip forms get signed by the date that they need to, that bills get paid when they're supposed to. You organize your receipts and everything you need for taxes to make sure that nothing gets lost. You're planning for groceries and meals. Personally, I absolutely hate meal planning. I absolutely hate going to the grocery store, but there are solutions for that. You do some adjustment to your own learning, adaptive learning. You'll see something online and it looks like a good strategy that you think would help you with your kids. And so you try it out because you know that the habits you grew up with or the ways you saw your parents doing things are not the ways that you want to do them, and you're willing to try something else. You think about the benefits of these new ways of parenting, and you don't get afraid to try things just to see what happens and whether or not it really works the way people say that it works, even to include paying attention to when your discipline methods do not work and knowing that you have to pivot to something that suits your child, and knowing that every child is going to possibly need something different. You learn from your past mistakes with not taking care of yourself. And so you're more intentional about putting in time for just you. Then we got building emotional resilience. I know that I am a good man in a storm. I might seem, I don't know, frazzled sometimes to my son, but when the chips are down, I'm a good man in a storm. And it's your ability to stay calm and be that emotional center for your children. And that's not to say that you're stuffing down what you feel, but what you feel comes second to the things that you need to deal with. You look at setbacks and you start thinking about solutions to those things and how you can lessen whatever the negative effects might have been for that thing. And you show your kids how to bounce back from everyday aggravation, from going to work and having those people who just get on your last nerve. But you're learning and you are stepping up into the woman that you are more and more every day. That's why we see as we get older, we feel so much more confident and just tolerate or don't tolerate different things, because with time you have this sense of yourself that just gets stronger and stronger. This next one is not foreign to you. It is not a surprise to you. Is making personal sacrifices. Sometimes you put your own needs on the back burner to make the best choice for your family and what's going to benefit your family in the long term. So maybe you can't hang out with your friends as much as you used to or stay out all night. Sometimes you're going to have to turn down the invitation to that event because your baby don't feel good. Sometimes you're going to have to really weigh whether a promotion at work is worth the time that it's going to take away from your family. When you start canceling your personal plans to make sure that you are present for your family, that's you making a tough personal sacrifice. And that's something that counts towards being a good mom. Is that the only thing? No. Should that be happening to the detriment of you where you feel like you're being lost? Absolutely not. But it's a part of parenting, period. This one is one that I am really working on now with the stage of life that I'm in and that my son is in, and it's being a safety net. I can't do things for him. I cannot solve his problems for him, but I can be a soft place to land. I can be an advisor when he needs to figure things out. I can have backup plans for situations when he was smaller and childcare suddenly became a problem and there was an emergency. It's when you have to decide, you know what, tonight is just going to be one of those nights where we got to eat out because I I don't have the mental capacity right now to go in the house and deal with all of the evening routine things when I know that my patience is really wearing thin and I just might snap today. So you're creating a safety net even from your own reactions when you know you're teetering on the edge, and your kids don't deserve that. All of that discernment means something. It counts for something, and you can't sell yourself short when you're doing so much already. Let's talk about the innovative problem solving, because moms will figure out how to make a way out of no way, fix things that their kids thought were not fixable. You will try to find innovative ways to recycle things, go into that pantry and see that, you know what, we looking a little light on food, but somehow out of what I have in here, I'm gonna make you an amazing meal. And your kids are like, where did this even come from? Because I just looked in there and we didn't have anything to eat. It's making the most of your space so that every part of it serves your family in the best possible way. Then when you model vulnerability, you're showing your kids it's okay to be open about their feelings and talk about how they're affected by stuff. You get to tell your kids, I don't know, I'm confused. But then you get to show them how you handle confusion by looking things up. Let's Google it. It's when you know, I don't have all the answers and I don't know what to do with you right now. I have to go walk away and call my friend, call my mom, call your dad, whatever it is, to get things figured out. And just showing them that it's okay to not have everything all together every single minute of your life. And then probably the one that you notice the least, but is one of the most important things, is building the village. You are the one who picks the people that your kids are around and builds their support network. You're the one organizing all these play dates and staying connected with their classmates and your neighbors to give them a chance to develop social awareness and for you to just have another grown-up to talk to. So these things that you do every day are important. And you don't need me or anybody else to give you a gold star to prove that you're a good mom. Your success ain't in the big gestures. It's in the little stuff, the little unseen moments, the little things that you don't think about that are going to shape who your kids become, how they treat people, and how they handle life. And if you're still questioning whether you measure up, let's go a little bit deeper. This is your moment of truth, and I want you to be honest with yourself. There are no outside opinions allowed. Go with your gut response and be honest. You are the only person who can decide if you are a good mom. So here are some questions or statements that I want you to think about and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in this self-test where you are. And I'll tell you for each one of them where that 1 and 10 will put you, like what it means. So here's the first one. I want you to think about 1 as being not proud at all and 10 as being extremely proud. I feel proud of the quiet, everyday actions that I take to keep my family running. 1, you're not proud at all, to 10, you're extremely proud. Give yourself a number. Okay, here's the next one. I'm confident in my ability to support my kids emotionally and practically. 1, not confident at all, to 10, completely confident. Here's number 3. When challenges come up with your kids, you handle them effectively and learn from those experiences. 1 would be not effective at all, and 10 would be highly effective. Okay, here's one. I consistently provide emotional and mental support for my children, and I look for ways to improve. 1 would be not well at all, and 10 would be extremely well. And then here's the last one. I regularly set aside time for my personal growth and self-care as a mom. 1 equals never, and 10 equals always. The truth is, if you are constantly doubting yourself, there's no amount of outside validation that's going to make that better for you. You're never going to feel like you're enough if you're waiting for somebody else to tell you that you are. And you're not going to step into your power as a mom until you stop looking for proof and you just start knowing from within. And now, a word from my sponsor, me. Discipline means more than just correcting your kids' behavior. It means teaching your kids what your expectations are in a way that builds real respect for your authority as the leader in your home instead of just getting compliance out of fear. Your kids need leadership that holds them accountable without damaging the way they think about themselves, the connection that they have with you, or their mental health. And I created damage-free discipline after having to reparent myself and really lean on the Lord to help me heal the relationship with my son after years of me being his biggest source of stress. I couldn't control my reactions to the things that he did or that I thought were wrong or that just got on my nerves and I didn't like them. And I used yelling, hitting, and cussing to force my way to his obedience. And I almost lost him twice. once to an attempt to take his own life when he was a lot younger, and once to just being cut off because of my violent reactions and him being completely distant and not wanting to deal with me. Damage-free discipline helps you guide your kids with clarity and consistency and confidence so that you don't fall back into patterns that create this distance and pain. And if you're ready to change the dynamic in your home, go to damagefreediscipline.com to get the framework and a guided journal that'll help you break the habit of yelling, because we all need to start somewhere. And if we want to change the mental health legacy that we leave for our kids, we have to be more intentional. Back to the show. At the end of the day, discipline is not just about shaping your kids, it's about shaping you into the kind of leader that they trust to follow in the first place. And if you are stuck in self-doubt, that leadership is going to crumble. So let's talk about self-doubt and how to handle that, because you can't stay in your CEO energy if you are constantly questioning your skills and talents as a mom. This show is all about putting tools in your toolbox that are going to help you to tackle life's challenges and motherhood challenges. So here's a plan that you can follow to coach yourself through when you start second guessing. So the first thing I want you to do is start recognizing when you're having these moments of self-doubt. And when you start feeling like you're not enough, keep note. Put a note in your phone, write it in your journal, but keep track of this and list what brought that on so that you understand what your triggers are. The next thing is to challenge your negative thoughts and write down one negative thought when it happens, so that you're not trying to track all your thoughts all day. But if you really become aware of one, write that one down and then challenge it by asking yourself, what evidence do I have that supports this? And what evidence do I have that contradicts this? And then replace it with a fact-based statement. So, oh my God, I can't figure these things out, becomes, I solved a problem today that nobody else saw. The next part of the plan is to list your hidden wins. You don't always think about all the things you do, but I just gave you a really long list of a lot more things that you do that you don't think about. And so think through that stuff. How many of those things from that list are you really doing on a consistent basis? That's a win. And you need to give yourself credit for that. And so then when your doubt starts creeping in, you can go back to this list and be like, no, because I did this, 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 and this, and I am killing it right now. Set realistic standards for yourself. You set your own definition for what it means to be a good mom, and then measure yourself against it. If there's something you want to improve or grow in, do it. Put forth the effort to learn more about that thing. Be mindful. And by mindful, I mean like paying attention to your breath, going on a short walk and just having some time for quiet reflection. Affirm yourself. There are affirmations popping up all over TikTok and Instagram with like catchy little tunes and stuff to them. Get you some affirmations that you can just repeat and let them live rent free in your brain. Practice being present and not worrying. Not thinking, well, what if this and what if that? I need to do more of just be. It's okay for you to just be. Build your own support network. Yeah, you can set up the play dates with your kids, but you need some too. So figure out who your people are. Find an online group. Come hang out with me. And then regularly engage with your group so that you can stay fortified. And then choose whatever those things are that you are going to really lean into to stop comparing yourself to other people and regularly just review how you're doing. So just as a quick little recap, identify the things you're doubting yourself about, challenge them, list your wins, set real goals, and lean on some support. And remind yourself that change is going to happen with small, consistent action and not just one big time of doing something. And you do this anytime self-doubt pops back up. I want to leave you with something that I really need you to think about. If you wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and tell you that you're failing as a mom, why do you let your thoughts do that? I want you to think about your negative self-talk and your self-doubt as an unwelcome intruder. And listen, when an intruder gets in, you react in a very different way. That's not a welcome guest. You don't get to sit down in here. Don't even think about getting comfortable in here. So remember that being a good mom is not about being patty perfect. It's about showing up, leading with love, doing your best, even on the crappiest days. And you're already proven that in the things that you do every single day. If you are interested in learning more about ways you can parent your kids that avoid the yelling and the hitting and the frustration, go to damagefreediscipline.com. And that's where you'll learn how to do discipline differently. Thank you so much for being here. And I would love to hear from you and what the tools are that you think moms need in their emotional toolbox. You can come find me on Instagram. I am the VVS Life Coach. Come on by and say hello and tell me what you think. I'll put my link directly to my Instagram in the description, and you'll see my handle on the end screen. And I'll see you next week.